Hello Magic fans, I'm Beef and welcome back to day 4 of Magicmas, and we're doing it. We are playing Mythweaver Poq. For regular viewers of the channel, you will know my dislike for this card immensely, but he is the most popular commander on Brawl on Arena at the moment, so I thought I should do the deck so I can show everyone else the problems with him essentially. So, who is Mythweaver Poq? He's a 4-mana star. So his power and toughness are each equal to the number of lands you control, which is fine. That is a not uncommon thing to see. But then the real problem is that second block of text. Whenever one or more non-token lands you control enter, for each of them, conjure a duplicate of it onto the battlefield. This ability triggers only once each turn, and that is the issue. And I'll get into that a bit more in a bit. Now, I'm not going to go through the deck. The deck relies on landfall, getting extra lands, that kind of thing. So it's pretty similar to the Tatiara deck we played a while ago, which had Poq in it, and also the Yarok deck we played earlier in the week, which also had Poq in it. So I'm not going to go through the cards, but the cards I do want to emphasise are ones that give Mythweaver Poq evasion or trample, because he can get huge, but he doesn't have any kind of evasion, so he can be chump blocked for days. So we have some cards that give him trample. Shadow Spear is an equipment, and it gives a creature trample and lifelink, and +1/+1. Garruk's Uprising gives all of your creatures trample, and also draws you a card if you have powers. If you have a creature power 4 or greater when this enters, or whenever you play a creature of power 4 or greater, and Mythweaver Poq is often going to be power 4 or greater. Sword of Fire and Ice and Sword of Fortune Frontier give the creature a buff and protection from red and blue in Sword of Fire and Ice's case, and red and green. You can play more of these to cover the protections. Overlord Oddity, once transformed into the Behemoth, gives their entire board +1/+1 trample and haste. Nissa can -7 to give board +1/+1 for each forest and trample. And then the Chroma's Memorial gives all our creatures flying, first strike, vision, trample, haste, protection from black and from red. So this can easily cause Poq to get in. And a few cards that we're not playing, but people might be like, oh, what about X? Overlord of the Hauntwood obviously creates a land, however that is a token land, and Mythweaver Poq does say non-token lands. And the other one, which I did actually play until I realised there is a infinite loop you can't get out of, which would cause the game to draw or you to lose, and that is a Shire, Soul of a Forest. A Shire is a very popular card in green decks. It causes all your creatures to be forest lands in addition to the other types. So the idea is you trigger loads of landfall whenever you play a creature. If you have a Shire on the battlefield and you play Poq, Poq will come down as a land, and assuming you've not played another land that turn, because Poq's a land, it will see a land enter in and it will create a copy. That copy will be Mythweaver Poq, which will enter. It will see a land enter in. You will then be asked for the legend rule, which one do you want to keep? It doesn't matter which one you keep, because the new one has seen a land enter. It will create a copy, which will enter, and see a land enter, which will create a copy. And essentially, you are stuck in an infinite loop, because this is not a May trigger. You will do an infinite loop of creating Mythweaver Poqs over and over and over. If you have removal for it, fine, but we don't use much removal. And in fact, the deck I played it against had Zudaport cover out, so it was pinging us for 1 each time, or Blood Artist, I think, pinging us for 1 each time a creature died, so we were going to lose anyway. So that's why we took a Shire out. And the only other one is Turn Timber Symbiosis. It has a land on the backside, one of the pay 3 life to cause it into untapped land. When that land enters, it tries to copy it, but it'll copy the front side, and nothing will happen. So we took that out just so we don't make that mistake again. So not going to go through the deck. You can see the deck list. The deck list is down in the description, but it's a pretty standard green ramp landfall deck. Now let's talk about the issue with Mythweaver Poq. And it's an issue with alchemy, wider alchemy, and I will do a video about my views on alchemy. But the big issue with Mythweaver Poq is, in Brawl and Commander, the whole point of it is you have access to your most powerful card, or your most important card, or your most useful card, whatever your commander is, whenever you want, whenever you can afford it. But the downside is, every time it gets removed or goes back to the command zone, you've got to pay an extra 2 mana, the commander tax. That makes it fair. And there are games where, someone ramps out a commander using something like Dark Ritual, you remove the commander and they're stuffed because they ramped and they don't have the ramp available. With Mythweaver Poq, if you play him when on a turn before you've made your land drop, which you should always do, in some of the gameplay videos you will see me do it when I don't have anything else to play, and also depending on the deck, confident they might not be removed. If you play it before you play your land drop, when you play your land for the turn, it will get copied, so you'll get 2 lands. That copy comes into play untapped. Even if the land it copies comes into play tapped, which is important to know. But all of a sudden, you have 2 more lands to which to play the command attacks. And the way priority works, your opponent cannot get priority until you've played that land, and then Poq's ability goes on the stack. So you'll get that land no matter what. So even if you remove it, you've got the mana to play for Poq next turn. And he's going to be growing and growing and growing. 5, 6, 7. In one game, it got up to 24, I think it was, because we had so many lands on the battlefield. What is also interesting, it says, why it does say 1 or more non-token lands, it then says for each of them. So, for example, if we play Entist Restoration and get 2 or 3 lands, it will see all 3 lands entering at the same time and create a copy of them. If we get 6 lands from a Genesis wave, it will copy all of them. And yes, while some of those things cause the lands to come into play tapped, as I said, a copy comes into play untapped, so then we can play other things from our hand. And if we play a fetched land, which obviously we are, even though we're in a monocolor deck, we are playing a few fetched lands. Let's say you play Poq, you play a Windswept Heath, your Windswept Heath will be copied, so you'll get 2 Windswept Heath. You can crack 1 on this turn to get a land, and then on your opponent's turn, you can crack that Windswept Heath, the second Windswept Heath, to then get get a forest, which is then copied again. So it is not out of the realm of possibility to play Poq and the next turn have 6 more mana, 2 from 5 more. I think you get 2 fetch lands, which gets 1 proper land. And next turn you crack the second fetch land, which gets 2 proper lands, and then on your opponent's turn, and then on your next turn you play a land or whatever and get 2 more lands. That is bonkers, and that's what the problem is. And unlike a lot of decks, unlike say Tatiova, for example, which is landfall, land payoff, George your card gains a life, it doesn't help you with that. This is payoff, and this is an enabler. It lets you get more lands, and it pays you off for getting more lands by getting a big, huge creature, which is why we have a lot of these protection or evasion and trample things. So that's why I dislike Poq. It goes against, I think, the spirit of Brawl. And yeah, even if you can remove it, the earliest you can remove it is when the land's on the stack, assuming you play it before they have a land. So it's a problem with Alchemy is the cards some cards are just really efficient, or too efficient, and some have been nerfed, but Poq hasn't, and it is just, I think, it just doesn't fit into what I think Brawl is, which is why I don't like playing against it. I don't really like playing it. I have played it because it's such a powerful card, and as I said, it is the number 1 is the most played commander on Brawl on Arena at the moment. So it would be remiss of me not to play it. But this is why I'm doing it. And yeah, when it works, it's really fun. It's probably not fun for opponents, and there have been some games where your opponent scoops straight away, and I assume it's just a scoop because it's against Poq, because I felt like doing that. So let me know what you think about Poq down in the comments. Said I'm not a fan of the card. I'm not a fan of how it works. I think it should be nerfed significantly, but I don't know how you could do that without us ruining the card. But yeah, it is not a fun card to play against because it is so powerful. It's not unbeatable. The win rate's not fantastic. It's 60 to 70%. But it is just, now all of a sudden we have 10 lands on the battlefield, 10-10, and it's just smashing in and all that. So, yeah, let me know if you enjoy the video. If you do, please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in my gameplay. We go first. For an alright hand, we obviously have quite a bit of ramp. Then last march to the Ents, and Poq's pretty good, and obviously ramping into Portal. So next turn we just Beseiju. Because obviously we don't want to copy Beseiju with Poq because it's legendary. But if we draw obviously another land, we will play that instead. Has our opponent just rage quit? Looks that way. What does it need to do again? When it enters or attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from your library, create 2/2 black zombie creature token. So a zombie token deck. Yeah, does look like our opponent has packed it in. Yeah, and we won't play out the Kami. Obviously, our opponent isn't here. Oh no, they are. We will get a couple of forests. They didn't have removal. That's bad news for them. Well, if we harrow, get to forests. Draw 10. Put in everything. I'm not going to put a new Lomog just because we can cast it next turn. Let's gain 5 life and put a shield. We'll gain. And yeah, our opponent scoops it up. That's pretty impressive. What was that, turn 4, 5? Our opponent did skip a turn for whatever reason. But then, yeah, we put a lot of power onto the battlefield pretty quickly. What's powerful about Poq is it says one or more non-token lands. So something like Harrow, which put 2 lands in, puts 2 lands into play at once, will get a copy of both those lands. The mount version of the Gitrog. You know what? I'd love to go first. You don't actually have any ramp either, so I think this is a mulligan. We have some ramp. I think we just find a land. We'll play out the Florahedron. Hopefully it survives. I think next time we play out the Sword of Forge and Frontier. It does have haste, which is very annoying. Well, let's Poq. I'm actually going to crack both of these now, just so I can attach the sword to Poq. Chroma's Memorial, yeah. So, I don't think we can afford to attack with Poq, unfortunately. Unless I play it, I could... Then we could... Let's play out Nissa. Next turn we can Lorien Brooch. Sack the Florahedron. They throw away their commander. Fair enough. I think that was better for us, really. And yeah, our opponent skips it up. They've only got one card in hand. We can attach the sword, and then you know, we've got a 7/7 and a 9/9. Next turn, play the Brooch, attach a Brooch to the Poq, and yeah, just start smashing in. Oh, up against Grenzo, the deck we played the other day. We do go first with an unkeepable hand. This isn't much better. No ramp. Well, we have some ramp. Turn 2 beans. Oh, actually, turn 2 arcane signet. As much as it pains me, I think I'm going to intentionally miss my land drop. So the next turn we can play out Poq and Broker's Hideout to get immediate value. We still get the 2 lands. Doesn't really matter. Play out the boats. They're looking at our cards. They might have a few lightning bolts or something, or are they just activating the Silex? Well, we can up the beanstalk and Vorinclex, draw a couple of cards, get 2 forests. Are they Grenzo in? Oh no, Cityscape Leather. That is a problem. Because obviously they can just attack with it and take out Poq.
Here be monsters. Your crew for my freedom. A fair price.
It does give things haste. And vigilance. And protection from black and red, which is, you know, obviously Cityscape Leveler is unfortunately colourless. They steal our Topiary Stomper. We do have to block. I'm just trying to think. They've given us a good game. Well. Oh yeah, it has haste, doesn't it? Of course. So we can just crack in for lethal. Yeah. They probably should have taken out a Chroma's Memorial with it. It's up against Mono White. I can't exactly remember what Anna Fenza does. Oh. Just maybe a white weenie deck. I think we mulligan this. Wow, this is not better. This is not a great hand. So I'd like another land, so we can save Prismatic Vista for Poq. Well, Scoot Swarm's alright. But obviously would like to draw another land. That's pretty good. And that's very good. Really need a land. That is not a land. Well, I'm going to have to play it out. And hope we draw a land. I'm surprised I played out, Boseiju. Well, we have to block. If we don't draw land, we're in trouble. That's not a land. Is this the saddest Genesis wave ever? This may have saved us. Because we can Blizzard Brawl. Let's remove their first strike. That's pretty good. Let's get a forest, which will be copied, obviously. We also have a lot of tokens. And our opponent scoops it up. We just have a huge amount of power on the board. Well, we are very wide. And then, yeah, next turn we can... Can we last March of the Ents? Which I don't know. We need a land to last March of the Ents. But we can Worm Card Engine or Cultivate a Colossus. And yeah, we draw another land. We did get very lucky with the X equals 1 Genesis Wave to hit our Misty Rainforest, which really pulled us back into it. Up against Helga, so a big creatures deck. I've got an okay hand. We can ramp. We will glimpse the court. Next turn we can Provisioner and Nykthos. Assuming no counter spells. We'll play out Nykthos because we don't want to copy Nykthos with Poq. They might have a swords. No, no stick. Well, let's Cabaret Courtyard. And then we'll play out Conduit of Worlds. Him down to 19. And next turn we can recast Tireless Provisioner from our graveyard. Assuming we don't draw anything we'd rather play. Oh, don't destroy our Conduit of Worlds. Do they have another count as well? They don't, so we can create a fair few treasures. Four, in fact. Now, obviously, they can probably gain quite a bit of life through their Silverback Elder. If they're still here, that is. There they are. Let's roil in regrowth. Yes, we can pay that quite easily. And that is them dead. Well, maybe not. They do have quite a lot of power and toughness behind to get in front of our Poq. And we just grow Poq. Yeah, 16-16 trample. Let's see what they can do. So they can block 5. Actually, they can block 5, 12, 15 of it. So we hit for 1. We attack with the Provisioner, and they go down to 3, but then they don't have a board. Opponent goes first. We do have a lot of ramp, actually. This is pretty good. We can turn 1 Llanowar Elves, turn 2 Glimpse the Core, which means we can play out Poq on turn 3 and play a land. So Karametra is a ramp deck, basically. That's going to be spicy. We need to grow our Poq basically above that. Auburn Tart's a good draw as well. Let's play out these. means we do gain a bit of life. And next turn we can Entist Restoration. We do get 3. And then we'll Vaultborn Tyrant. And yeah, we'll swing in. We might want to block with the Vaultborn Tyrant. I think we take that. Because what I think we can do is play out the Oddity and transform it straight away. Take out their Scythe Cat for good measure. Everything now has Trample and Haste, and we smash in for a lot. Oh, I'm going to say Liana, so a mono black deck, so obviously going to be lots and lots of removal. And we are on the draw. The Utopias Brawl and Landmark Elves can help us get out an early Poq. We play the Utopias Brawl just because obviously it won't be removed. And let's cultivate. And next turn we can get out Poq and get out the Verdant Catacombs. We'll crack one now, crack one in their turn. Obviously, this, I imagine something's going to get removed. But the good thing about Poq, well, in fact, the broken thing about Poq is it doubles up our mana.
This battle is going to end on my terms. My magic is quite impressive.
Oh, trigger Poq again. And I think we play the Vaultborn Tyrant. We can harrow at instant speed. Obviously, a board wipe doesn't get rid of the Vaultborn Tyrant. I imagine they turn Poq into
I command death itself.
well, that's the File of Vigor. And let's then play out Forest. And let's play out Conduit of Worlds. Let's tack down Vraska. I'll save off whole play and the throwback for now. That's an interesting line.
Those who get in my way tend to regret it.
I'm going to sacrifice Poq.
I've always hated crowds.
Is this, are we just kidding ourselves? So this is interesting. A Shire and Poq ends up with a infinite combo we can't break.